Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Allty 2500S bicycle front headlight. Magishine's previous Allty 2000 headlight was one of our favorite bike lights as it had a multi-element light design along with an OLED screen to display the battery status. After listening to customer feedback, Magicshine has updated the light and introduced the new Allty 2500S that we have here. So it combines a lot of the same elements, but brings more modern interfaces like USB Type-C and a simpler user interface. Packaging wise, you have the simple black and orange color scheme that we see with a lot of Magicshine products. Nice glossier representation of the light on top. And then all these specs printed onto it. It's a nice cardboard box too, so it almost feels like a cell phone that slides out. So I'll pull it out of the box and go over the specs. Retail price on this is $159.99. It is a 2500 lumen light, like the name implies. And it has that same triple element design. So you have the two LEDs, one's a flood, one's a spot. Then you have the DRL on top, so pretty unique lens design, and ensures you're visible during the day or night. You also have a removable battery, which is really cool. So it's a cartridge style battery. You just put a coin in here, rotate this, and then this pulls out. And that means you can replace the battery or carry a second one if you want to extend the runtime. You also get their wireless remote, which is a feature they have across their lights. Simple 2-button interface that duplicates almost all the functionality of the light. And you also have USB Type-C charging, which is the other big update with this light. So a more modern interface, and you can simply charge the battery with it installed or removed from the light. In terms of what comes with it, you get quite a few things. So you have a nice foam cutout that holds everything in place. So it's actually a nice box you might want to keep. You have the instruction manual, the warranty card, the USB Type-C charging cable for charging the light. You get multiple extension links for the mount. So a simple handlebar mount. And this uses the bolt-on design, so you do need to use a tool to lock it in place. But you have different extensions, so it does work for aero bars, mountain bike bars, road bars. You just find the one that works for you and then swap it out. And then finally, obviously, you get the light and this little Velcro strap that goes with the wireless remote to mount it in place. Now let's take a look at the weight of the light. So the light by itself comes in at about 192 grams. The handlebar mount is one of the shorter extensions, and the bolt is 16. And then the wireless remote, which is shared with a lot of the Magicshine products, comes in about 17. Visually, the Allty 2500S is very similar to the previous Allty 2000. They have a very unique profile, so it's a little bit of a tall lens and then a narrow body, so you get this L shape, which is pretty cool. So the mount's here, and then you have this dropped out lens. The body here is mostly metal with a little bit of plastic on the back. And you can see the lens is very cool in this. You have two LEDs on the bottom and then a DRL on top. So that's a couple of cop strips, and you can see when it's illuminated, it really lights everything up and gives you a nice B-scene style light with a big footprint. The other cool thing about the lens is you can see the edges are actually inset, so they're nice and bright. And that means you're visible from almost any angle, which is really important when you ride in the city or the cars around you. The other cool thing about this is you also have the OLED screen. It may look a little flickery on camera, but in person it's really nice. It's white on black. You have the battery status as a gauge, battery remaining time, and the actual lumen count for your current mode. And then every time you switch, it'll actually show a percentage. So you're never really guessing, and you'll never run out of battery while you're riding. The user interface is also very simple, single button. You can either run it with the DRL and one LED, all of them together, so both LEDs and the DRL, or the flash modes. You'll also notice that the LEDs are slightly different. One of them is more of a spot, while the other one is more of a flood, so they have a little bit different beam angle. But together they give you a nice combination. And with this you have much simplified modes, so rather than running one and the other, and then having flash modes for each, they really simplify it to just low, medium, high hybrid, and then two flash modes. Branding here is just limited Magicshine on top, and then the other really cool thing is the cartridge style battery. So you can see I can unlock this using a coin, and then the entire battery will slide out. So it takes a little bit of force to get out, as it has a little O-ring. And then you can see it's a proprietary battery. Unfortunately, you do have to buy this from Magicshine, and 3500 milliamp, and it has two 18650 cells. So unlike the Phoenix, which actually has individual cells, they package it up into one. It costs about $79.99, so about half the price of the actual light. So you can actually buy a second one to extend the runtime, or in a couple of years, if you run down the battery, you could always replace it with a new battery rather than throwing out the whole light. The charge port is right here as well. So you have a USB Type-C charging port, which is also a new feature about this light. And this actually supports on-the-go charging. So if you have a bigger battery pack, you could connect to this and then charge and run the light at the same time. To lock it back in place, you just take your coin and then rotate this until the lock lines up with the little indicator. Mounting this is very simple too. You can see a Garmin mount actually molded directly into the bottom base. They include a very simple Garmin style handlebar mount. So it's just a rotate to lock into place, quarter turn. And then this is the standard mount we've seen with a lot of their bike lights. You can see it's bolted on here. You can tighten this bolt to adjust the tension. So the tighter it is, the more it'll pull it in. And then you hook this in place. So very simple. They include multiple strap links. So you can even do aero bars. But it does require a tool, and then with this design, accessing that bolt with the light on is obviously more difficult. But you can simply use this with almost any mount, as it's just a standard Garmin quarter turn style. You can also mount this light upside down if you needed to, but then you really eliminate the whole need of the OLED screen. So I definitely recommend riding with this upright. The Allty 2500S has 8 different output modes. You have the single flood mode, so you can see you have a single LED with a DRL. You have low, medium, high here, and you can see the lumen count actually doubles for each one, with the highest mode being 1200 lumens at 2 hours. Then you have the hybrid mode, which activates both LEDs, and you can see that has low, medium, high again, with high being the full 2500, and you can see quite bright with 1.5 hour runtime. You also have a couple flash modes. You have a slow flash mode, so it keeps one light active and then flashes the other. And they have quick flash, which is simply just a faster flash. As far as the beam pattern on this, you can see pretty nice. You have the DRL, which lights up the handlebars and the road directly in front of your bike light. And then you have the longer distance flood and then the spotlight combination. The lower modes are pretty bright, so you can even run this in the single LED mode, but if you really need power, you can ramp it up to medium or high in the hybrid mode. You can see it's a non-uniform beam, so you definitely have these dual beam designs, so you have that beam way up in front and that DRL lighting up everything around you. You don't have the beam cutoff either like you do with the other Magicshine lights, so you will create glare for oncoming traffic, so you do be aware of that. But otherwise, it's pretty nice. You have a good long distance visibility, nice hot spot directly in the middle of the road, and good spread with that little inset lens, which means you're visible from almost any angle. Now let's compare the Allty 2500S with other lights on the market. We actually have the original Allty 2000 here. You can see it's almost identical visually. It's same body, same lens design, same bottom mount, but they've done a couple improvements. Obviously with this one, they've added a little more heat fins in here to reduce the heat generation. It has a USB Type-C port rather than the micro USB port on the previous battery design. And then obviously this one is brighter, so it's 2500 lumens versus the 2000. So they do that with the bigger battery and then the more modern LEDs. They've also really simplified the user interface. So with the old one, you could run it with DRL only. Then you could run the spot LED only or the flood only, and then hybrid, and then flash mode. So it ended up with way too many modes. It was pretty confusing. With this one, they've really simplified it down to 8 versus 17, which is a nice feature. Now, Magicshine also has a couple new products. We have the Evo 1300S. It's actually designed to be mounted upside down. It has an aspherical lens, so you can see the lens design actually kind of skews the LED on the inside and creates a sharp beam cutoff. So that's a really nice feature. If you do a lot of urban riding, you probably want something more like that, where you can see you have a sharp beam cutoff, while the Allty 2500S still has quite a bit of glare. So it has a more traditional cone beam, so it spreads out. And that means if you're right in front of it, you have that glare. But it is quite a bit brighter, and you can see form factor very similar, and a lot of similarities. But with the OLED screen, you don't have to guess with the colors. There also is the Evo 1700, which is a brighter variation, has that same aspherical lens, so a very cool sharp beam cutoff, and a unique form factor, so it's taller rather than being longer. We also have the RN 1500, so you can see about half the output. But again, you have the more generic color scheme rather than knowing exactly how much battery you have, and a simple single LED design with a bottom Garmin mount. There also are some cool beam cutoff lights like the LightSkin NACA It's an aerodynamic light that's actually designed to be mounted upside down, versus this one which has to be upright if you want to use the OLED screen. You have that sharp beam cutoff, but it's quite a bit more expensive. It's the Trek Commuter Pro RT, which has a beam cutoff, and you can see very similar sizing, but they're fairly expensive, and they pair with a taillight. So you can see you actually have dual battery gauges, this light, and then the paired taillight. We also have the Outbound lighting Detour, so different form factor. So if you want something more compact but wide, it's a pretty good option, and it does have a sharp beam cutoff with this scalloped lens design. So LEDs mounted on top rather than the front, so it gives a unique beam optics. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the Magicshine Allty 2500S. What we like about it is you have an OLED display screen, so it shows you your battery status, your current mode, and everything you need directly on the screen with a nice high contrast white on black display. It also has a simplified number of modes, so you just have 8 output modes instead of the almost 17 you had with the previous model. Also, the other nice thing about these lights is you have a multi-element design. So you have a DRL, and then you have 2 separate LEDs. One is a spotlight and one is a floodlight. So you have a lot of versatility. The main negatives with this light is the fact that you can't run in DRL only mode. That was a feature of the previous light, but they've removed it here. So if you just want a low visibility one, you can use the single LED with the DRL in the lowest mode instead. Also, this does have a removable battery, which is really nice to see, but it is a proprietary design, so that means you have to buy it directly from Magicshine. Taking everything into account, we give the Allty 2500S an 8.9 out of 10. It's a nice multi-element bike headlight. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.